Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Nikhil.
Hello. Hi, Fazil. Another couple of minutes, I guess, and we can start. Okay. Yes. I believe we should start, Fazil. What do you think?
I think Nick, yeah, I think we can start now. I think the people will come um, during the presentation later. Yeah, I think we can start now.
Sure. Okay. So, very good afternoon to everyone joining in for this SPE Kuala Lumpur section knowledge series talk number 6. And today, on the 6th of July 2022, we have a very interesting topic. We will straight away, after a brief introduction, we will dive into it. Today's brief agenda is, as usual, what we have seen for the past couple of talks. We will introduce the KL Technology and Technical TNT, as we call it, committee members. Then a brief summary of the SPEKL Technical Circle. You must have seen it flashing just a couple of minutes before. Then we will introduce today's talk along with the speaker. Then we go into the talk itself, followed by Q&A. Please post your questions in the chat, and I will take them in the order. And we already have a couple of questions, so we will address those as well. And then a closing note, vote of thanks, and the update on Talk 7, what's coming at Talk 7, followed by a group photo. So this is the 2022-23 TNT committee. It's chaired by Fadzil and Han, and they are assisted by Dr. Yati, Babak, Halim, Dr. Harris, Girbasini, and Nabila, along with Nikhil, that's me. So we are the guys who are trying to collect topics and bring to you 2 topics every month. That's the goal. So far, we have done good, I would say. And if any one of you has any interesting topic, most welcome to join us. Your contribution is highly valuable. And this is the SPEKL Technical Circle. So this has been introduced recently. And what it does is we are trying to assist in unlocking the potential of innovation. You can join this group via LinkedIn or WhatsApp. And the objectives of this circle is give a platform to discuss technologies, their best practices, domain expertise, understanding, to serve as a common platform to connect everyone associated with this industry, operators, service providers, and academia. So we also want to understand, share about revolutions of technology, past, present, future, followed by coaching and mentoring, which is extremely important. And who can be a part of this circle? Everyone with any background and experience. And as I said, you can connect to the circle via LinkedIn and WhatsApp. The disciplines that we are covering is subsurface, which is GNG, production technology, reservoir engineering, the wells, which is drilling, completions, workover, abandonment, production and operations, projects, facilities and construction, HSE and sustainability, uh, the much needed data science and engineering analytics, and of course, renewable energy with decarbonization and carbon management. You must be an active SPE member to join this and have more than 5 years of industry or academic experience. And we are looking for discipline leads to assist us. So the volunteering opportunity is open currently. So today's topic is Waterflood Health Check, the most important missing component of waterflood surveillance. And we have over here Mr. Vipin Gupta, who is the founder and CEO of Res Oil International, STN BHD. This session is getting recorded and it will be shared on the SPEKL YouTube channel. So you can, if you have not been able to attend, and then it's a good way to catch up. So about today's topic, Waterflood Health Check. And we say that it's the most important missing component of waterflood surveillance. So I'm just going to go through this briefly because I think the folks who are joining are already knowledgeable about waterflood. So the uncertainty related to production forecasting is not new. And as we go into mature stages, uh, decline that comes, obviously, it's very difficult to mitigate this. And given the fact that infill opportunities as of today are possibly getting lesser, workovers are expensive. So one generally goes for cheaper production enhancement. We'll short scope this as PE. These initiatives are a person's top choice. Now, the challenges associated with these PE initiatives, they are multifold, as we know. Low incremental value, higher decline rates, since it's basically... Yes,
can I interrupt? Okay,
sure.
This I had sent you two abstracts for two different topics. I think they got interchanged in terms of the summary that you are saying right now. Okay. Because yesterday in the dry run, we only looked at my profile and not this one. So maybe you can just proceed to, because this is not introducing the topic at all.
Oh, okay. I thought this is one way of surveillance of the water flood.
No, that's another abstract that is also lying with you.
Okay, so I haven't done a slide on that, but then since we are going ahead with the presentation, I'll just skip this.
Yes.
I'll introduce you.
Yeah.
So Mr. Vipin Gupta joined the oil industry in the mid 80s and has worked in almost all aspects of reservoir and production engineering. Has moved across the globe in a lot of countries as well as organizations. His favorite area of expertise lies in managing water floods. And he has worked on multiple assets in Mumbai High, located offshore India, which is with the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. This is India's national oil company. Then Petroleum Development Oman, and across Malaysian assets with Petronas. So he worked with Petronas from 2012 to 21 at MPM and was a part of several water injection initiatives, has contributed to creating guidelines, and has presented at numerous well integrity and workover events. So he is a firm believer that the skills honed over the years using all available tools in the petroleum and reservoir engineering solutions in diverse settings, offshore, onshore, depositional environments, various things, drive mechanisms, geography itself. They have all helped him to develop a knack for decoding reservoir language. So this is very exciting. His journey in a nutshell has been about getting better at confronting, embracing, overcoming challenges to understand complexities of nature and to deliver the assigned objectives and targets, mostly related to production enhancement, improved recovery, extending the life of the field, etc. So after spending more than 3 decades in various roles, he has founded his own organization, uh, Res Oil International in Malaysia. So with this, we can proceed to talk 6. So I will stop sharing and Vipin, you can start sharing. Just give me a moment.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my slide?
Yeah, we can. So if you just go to the swap presenter view, then it'll be
No,
enlarged.
this is the full page. Are you seeing only the, because according to my view, this is the, I have removed that presenter thing.
Okay, great. All right, perfect.
Okay, so good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this SPE Talk 6. Thank you, Nikhil, for the introduction to the topic as well as about the event itself. And thank you to the SPE Kuala Lumpur for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to be in front of you today. Well, as you probably already noticed, I have been around for some time. In fact, more time than I care to remember. But the journey has been great. It helped me learn a few things on the way. Water flooding being one of them. As has already been told by Nikhil, I was involved in redevelopment of Bombay High, then heavy oil water flooding sands in south of Oman, and various water flooding assets in Petronas, Malaysia. Although the roles were different and the responsibilities were different, but the common thread through all of these assets was the fact that they were all different types of water floods. However, one thing that I learned is that although water flooding is very old. In fact, it started somewhere in mid 1800s. So it's almost mid 1800 would be making it 170 years since water flooding came into oil industry. And it looks simple, straightforward, but the looks can be pretty deceptive, as we will see when we go forward. But having said that, another reality is that it is a system that has been tried, tested, and perfected almost everywhere in the world. And so there is a significant amount of knowledge, research, and expertise to help steer in terms of difficulties, imposing mid-course corrections, and staying out of trouble. And even to the fine tuning, especially with the new set of tools. The bottom line, however, is that there is a lot of oil tied up in waterflood projects. And it goes without saying that we need to have strategies for these projects to deliver on their promise. If memory serves me right, about 30% of Malaysian oil is coming from water flooding, or probably more. This presentation will propose a stepwise, logical, and intuitive way to manage, monitor the water flood projects so that we can deliver on the promise. In the next 55 minutes, I'll take you through this journey, which will start with basics of water flooding, envisaging when things go wrong, what exactly we can do about it, that is through the Waterflood Health Check. What is it? Why do we need it? How it is done? A sneak peek on our methodology, working model, deliverables, timelines, etc. Coming back to the last point would be points to ponder, where we try to see what we can think about in terms of future and what we have learned from this presentation. Great. So, I'm sure that not everyone in this room is a water flooding expert or has knowledge about water flooding. So I therefore took the liberty of starting this presentation with the basics of water flooding. In my experience, I have found that almost everywhere in the companies that I worked with, in the organizations, everywhere water flooding was always thought to be, subsurface baby. So, I mean, basically people thought this is about, putting the water into the reservoir will and push the oil to the producer, and everything that is related is all something happening in the subsurface. But what is received at the terminal, what is sold, what gets converted to hard money, that helps me and you to earn our salaries, is basically, you will see, is much more than just subsurface. There are many, many elements to it. This needs to be understood, and it is better to spend some time here before we push forward. Assuming that we have subsurface conditions which are ripe to water flooding, that means we have a sizable stripe, we have a good mobility ratio, water wet conditions, good, let's say, pressure, which is above the water bubble point and all. So taking aside all this jargon, let us say that we have a field in which water flooding can be done. Then the first thing that we talk about is finding a water source. Now, water source basically probably, you see, is something that we don't think about in Malaysia because we have so much of it. We have our fields in the water, so we are offshore, but not everywhere the thing is like that. So you have fields in deserts where water is scarcity. And it is not only about the volume of water and its, let's say, the time for which the water can be supplied. It is also about the quality of water. It is about the interactions of water with the chemicals and inside the earth, with the formation water. All of these are very important. Once you have found the water, then you need to push it inside. So there comes the injection. Injection is done through an injector well. So the injector well, let's say the pointer here. Yeah. So this is the injector well. So the injection and the injection system of pumps and pipelines and what all the cleaning units, etc., is all it is not a single system. It's a multifaceted system, which we'll be talking about in slide 8. Once the water gets into the reservoir, so then it goes from here all the way to here, being assisted by a push from the top and the sink, which is being created here. This part is generally mostly subsurface. This part, as we have seen, is not. Now, once it reaches here, so we are flooding here, and then we reach the production. The production where the oil and the water and the gas will be taken out of the reservoir, done through the producer well. And And then once it reaches the surface, then it is taken by a huge network of many different components, which is surface facilities assisted by operations to reach the terminal, where to the people who are refining it in order to sell it outside. Now, this operations on surface is a set of flow lines, pipelines, separators, deaerators, water handling systems, cleaning units, and so on and so forth. So as you see, we have now already seen 6 different components, and there are many more, which are essential to the concept of water flooding, and out of which the flooding is the only one which has subsurface as a major component. Rest all. When we talk about water flood surface or water flooding project and its performance, then we need this can only happen to go in the north, or let's say the performance can seem to rise if health of water flood project is determined by a smooth synergy. So basically, if all these components are in sync, in synergy, they work together, then only you can see health of the water flood project as a healthy one. So it is essential that this balance be maintained to maximize the project performance. This is the point I want to bring across to all of you, that water flooding is not only about subsurface. When we talk about water flooding and water flooding as a project in oil fields, then it's a combination of many things, and many of those things are controlled by factors which are other than subsurface. Great. So any questions at this point of time before we push on?
I think we can proceed with the slides.
Okay, thank you. So now, if everything is working fine, then everything is fine. But normally, you see, nature is never so forgiving. So what happens when the alarm bells start ringing? Normally, the oil will drop, or if you may have the same amount of oil, but more water. So basically, you have more water cut. You have problems related to water handling, how to process more water, or maybe the injectivity drops and you can't inject a lot of injection that you need to do. At the well and pattern level, you can have wells which are watered out or have low injectivity. The possible causes could be many, and I won't read through all of them, but this is injection quantity, what is replacement, water quality, etc., etc., etc. And then the impact would always be on the uptime, the cost, production, and recovery. This is normal when we manage a water flood project. The question always is, are we prepared for these occurrences? We know that they are going to happen. And the second question would be then, could we have been better prepared? Well, people can say, you know, we have scheduled maintenance and we have this and that, but essentially, is this all working in sync? And if we could have been better prepared, then if so, how? This is the question that we are trying to solve in the coming, let's say, 40 or so minutes through what we propose as a strategy of Waterflood Health Check. Okay. Now, a Waterflood Health Check to me is something like same as when we go for a health check to a hospital or a periodical health check. You know, everyone out of you, most of you must be going for, let's say, annual health checkup. So what do? You walk into a hospital, register yourself, and then you're given a form with a list of doctors and departments to visit. So you go to each of these departments. So somebody will check your lungs, somebody will check your eyes, somebody will check your lower parts of the body, upper parts of the body, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, all that data is assimilated into a matrix by an expert who tries to find out whether your body is healthy or not. Well, it is basically similarly a health check for a waterflood project is a process to assess, evaluate every aspect of waterflood project. Every aspect of waterflood project with an objective. Now, this is the objective to understand current performance and projected future forecast. So basically, when we started the project, we already know that this is where we are. And in a year's time or in a 2 years time, this is where we want to be. So this is where the comparison is. In terms of us, the doctors try to assist that, okay, this guy is 40 years old, so this is where his blood pressure should be, or his diabetes should be, or his health of his heart should be in this range, with reference to initial estimates and profiles. So this is what it is. But let us also very clearly state what it is not, because this is something that we have seen over the years as people understanding or misunderstanding what waterflood is not, or what waterflood health check is not. So it is not a detailed performance analysis project. So don't think that this is a study team which will take all your data and start simulating and drawing, decline curves and this and that. It is not a detailed performance analysis. It is not designed to provide solutions, but is going to identify the problem areas. It is not going to impose additional work for project teams. So do not be afraid that by inviting another expert, we will be asked to do much more. The project teams which are already burdened with so much of work, they would be asked to do a lot of more work. Okay, second point here is that once what is the modus operandi here is that our Waterflood Health Check team will talk to your asset team on various topics. They will, and their assessments will be taken on board. These assessments will have to be backed up by the data, and this will help them to construct a scenario of where the health lies. We'll go into the details as we go forward. The acquired data is by the health check experts, is examined by our experts for estimating short-term and long-term impacts if there is a problem on the project delivery, and for providing inputs on the mid-course corrections, if any. Third part, and this is the more important part when it comes to Petronas. In case of multiple waterflood projects, now let us say you have several waterflood projects, and the measurement technique is same. Then the data can be normalized to compare the performance or health of one waterflood project against another waterflood project, which is almost like creating an internal benchmark. So the process acquires true potential via development of indices for individual process rankings and also for the project ranking, whereby evolving into an internal benchmark. So this is about what. Now let's go to why. Okay, so there's still one more point. But this is just to let you know that this methodology developed for health check uses existing data and dialogue with the team members on related topic, as I had already told you. Why this point is put here is everything that the health check team can come up with is dependent upon the integrity and sanctity of the data that is provided to them. Garbage in, garbage out, or something like that. Okay, so let's go to why. Okay, now you see this picture here shows this person who is holding his or her knee. Now let us say that the upper body parts, the lung, the heart, the shoulders, everything is doing fine. But if the knee are not working, then running is out of question. So out of the 7 elements of water flood projects, you may say that 3 or 4 are fine, but the other 2, if they are not working, they are not in sync, then they will have an impact on the total water flood project performance. And this is the main issue when we have in oil companies is that we have so many departments which are looking at these 7 elements. And they all have their own different methods of monitoring. And not every time the results are not shared amongst each other. Neither the result of one impacts the other. So what happens is that this synergy and the balance is not always there. And this is because of the different agencies, different departments, and the way we work is. So that is why when we talk about a Waterflood Health Check team, they will talk everyone into the same fold. And this will also be in the slide 8. Oh, why? Of course, by now, I don't think we have to explain why, but just to document it. Health checks serve the basic but essential function to examine, assess, and provide insight on the current performance for every component that impacts the water flooding project. Now, when we start a water flooding project, we already have some idea of how things are going to behave. But as I said, I mean, the nature is not so forgiving and neither it is so cooperative. So what happens along the way is that you start facing problems. Sand will come out, water will be higher than what we envisaged, or gas will go up. There would be corrosion in the places and influx will be impacted, scaling, influx issues, lift performance, so on and so forth. If we have a health check periodically, what it gives you is, it will give you the current state of health. It will also give you a view of the troubles ahead. So just like, when your doctor says that if you don't lower your salt, you are likely to have blood pressure. So this will give you a view of the troubles ahead, possible impact. So what happens if this parameter goes up, and how it will impact the recovery and how it will impact the performance. What are the steps to follow? What are the things that we should observe, metrics, and triggering points for future? So what are the places where actions have to be triggered? Indexation of performance, we already talked about this when we talk about multiple projects. Indexation of performance can lead to development of internal benchmark, resulting in identification, higher focus, and triggering actions. Combining the result with complexity index. Now, complexity index is not everyone's cup of tea. However, in Petronas, we already have it. So when we combine these results with complexity index and the recovery factor benchmarking, this will provide a realistic future estimate of recovery. The next slide will take you to the meat of the process, where we talk about each component and the details of each component. Excuse me. So let us say we start with the water source. So within water source, what we have is the source of water, the compatibility with the rocks, the scaling control, the corrosion control, souring control. These are all the things that have a relationship with what kind of water it is. And even though the scaling and corrosion and souring will probably happen at different times and will impact different things, but the starting source is water. And this is what we need to keep into our sight. It may be necessary that we do not have an alternative source of water. Therefore, we know that these things are going to happen. The question is, are we prepared? How can we prepare? And when we should be prepared for this? Going ahead would be the water injection. Water injection, the multifaceted, like I said. So you have injection well selection, well completion, matrix injection, fractured injection, injectivity, solids and oil control, well integrity assurance. These are all the things that basically are impacted in the water injection system. Now, okay, so the thing here is that like I said, the modus operandi is that there will be a Waterflood Health Check team, and there will be the asset team, and they will have a long dialogue over probably several days or a week about these things. So these are the topics on which the queries and questions will be based. And these queries and questions and their answers will determine for the health check team as to where we are in terms of all these subtopics or focus areas. The third is reservoir flooding. Reservoir flooding has flood analysis, surveillance plan, and flood remediation. Now, flood analysis itself is a very, very big topic. So it has many, many subtopics. Surveillance, again, is a very big topic. Surveillance plan, as you know, Petronas has objective-based surveillance. So surveillance can be of many, many types. It could be well surveillance, could be reservoir surveillance, could be flood surveillance. And all these, again, are subdivided and again subdivided. Additional development is about throughput, bottlenecks, complexity index, improved process, new areas for development. Production. Producer well selection, well completion, just like injection wells. Well integrity assurance, productivity, and emulsions. Last but not the least is surface and operations, which is about capacity, functionality, and many miscellaneous subjects. Please don't ask me questions on this. I'm not an expert, but I'm sure considering, you see, in the whole system, the surface and operations has the biggest number of components, and I'm sure that these are all needed to keep in sync. Now, what is the methodology? The methodology part 1 consists of interactive collaboration between health check teams and asset teams. The health check process provides a holistic view of the project, examining dependencies while rooting out redundancies. What it means basically is that, let us say there will be a team of people who will be heading, or let's say controlled by a production chemist who talks to the production chemist or people who are looking after the chemistry of water at the site. They will be talking about the water source and the quality of water. So they'll be checking out the water chemical analysis. They'll be checking out the compatibility of rock, if there were any laboratory tests which were done. And similarly, the teams will be there for each of these 6 components. It looks for the signs of weakness that are causing inefficiencies or may become problematic in future. So this is the main objective of the health check. And this is probably the same objective as when we go for a health check of our bodies. Singles out best practices for replication and provides recommendation for future course corrections. The second component of methodology also is it is involving all stakeholders who are responsible. So we are breaking ourselves from the mold of looking at only the subsurface team. So getting all the stakeholders into the room responsible for the project functions and making them responsible for performance deviations, if any, through inclusion in discussions and decisions right from the day one. This improves the process through empowering the people with knowledge, understanding, and technology. So everybody is on board. It is not that only the working level is talking and then they will make a proposal and then it goes to the manager. The manager doesn't know what is happening. Extensive documentation to ensure sustainability of process and continuation of best practices. Doing things differently. I'm sorry, I did not know why PowerPoint is behaving in such an odd manner that if you go one step back, then it goes the entire. Okay, so the health check team plays its role as doctors. Now, this is the most important part. They are not auditors. There is no, finger pointing. There is no blame game. So they are doctors. And the objective here is to develop a better understanding of the current conditions and use it as a base to provide the best way forward. So we are talking about what from here. We are not talking about what happened in past. The entire exercise is based on collaboration and sharing of knowledge and experience with a focus to look for a win-win solution. So guys, this sort of, in a way, is the technical part that we tackle in a health check. Is there any question anybody would like to ask at this point of time? Or we just go forward?
Yeah, we can proceed. We have a couple of questions, but we can take them one by one after the talk.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So this is how this happens. Asset teams, and then you have health check teams. So these are all the asset teams: reservoir engineering, production engineering, well engineering, surface facilities, production chemistry, asset well integrity. Then you have health check teams, which have got question banks and queries to assess. And once they get the answer, they have to weigh the answers, then put a certain weightage on it, give it a ranking, then using an internal algorithm to use that ranking to come to a scorecard sort of thing. The performance indices are calculated. So this is just showing the interaction between the two teams, and the three main pillars of how these can be guided is active dialogue, which is supported by data, knowledge sharing, in order to promote the 3 Ps. That is a better process. People who are more empowered and knowledgeable and naturally going toward the profit. What all of this is empowered, or let's say is focused to deliver. So deliverable 1, which is technical, is clear status report on each component of water flooding project. Gap analysis with respect to expectation and actual performance. Projected impacts if business as usual, and recommendations and mid-course correction. This is the technical deliverable from the Waterflood Health Check team after going through the process. Deliverable 2, which is about the process itself. This is analysis of the business process workflows, identification of points that impact decision making, and recommendations. Now, naturally, they can only recommend, and it is up to the management to take a decision whether the BPWs need to be amended or modified. Deliverable 3, which is the benchmark, and this happens only when you have multiple projects. Development of performance indices for each component, overall scorecard, and internal flood performance benchmark. This is actually very important if you, and in our case, we know that it is there because it can also guide and drive the maintenance strategies and planning strategies. So now once we have looked through this, I'll take a sneak peek into how the process actually works. Okay, this is just to let you know that basically what we normally do is that we give 2 weeks for the teams to prepare before we start the dialogue. 1 week is for the dialogue and interaction between the two teams, and then the 2 weeks are basically for preparing all the deliverable, the reports, and crunching the data. And okay, a sneak peek into the methodology. So I would like to emphasize that this is very, very thorough checkup. We have 8 projects elements, 38 focus areas, 352 primary level 1 queries, 165 secondary level 2 queries, and this is not limited because questions coming out of questions and questions coming out of answers could be more. But this is an average of the past that we have covered. 4 discipline experts, 2 to 3 weeks. This is what it takes. So currently, this is a view of how my Excel sheet looks like. So the first column here is the water flood elements like reservoir flood and injection and all that. And then you have focus areas, which we showed to you in the slide 8. And these are the questions. These are the different questions. Okay. So what happens is once these questions are answered, then they are getting a ranking. So this is the ranking process. And since one particular focus area, which may have 3 sub focus areas, may have 15 different questions. So it's a very complicated way of how to evaluate different rankings and into a scorecard or a single scorecard for each of the focus areas. So the digital technology here is basically going to help a lot. And now we are in the process of converting everything to digital. So once the whole thing is done, then what you have is this is the end product. So you have the dashboards and everything that goes on with the visual displays. What digitalization has an advantage over the past way of working is that it is secure and safe. It is much faster. It gives you a much bigger, better, nice visual display. It can be done for real time because we can now that all the data is also coming digitally. So this can be synced with the data frequency itself. So the Waterflood Health Check, if the whole data chain is digital, then it can be basically automated to some extent. And the last part is accessibility. So essentially, we can control who sees the question, we can control who answers, we can control where the data is kept so that the answers today can be compared 5 years later if need be. Okay. So in the end, what we get is the projected impact, which is of the most interest to the managers because they would like to know where we are and what do I need to do. If I don't do, what happens? So this is the business as usual. So this is where you are. This is the decline. If you don't take an action, this is the decline. And if you take the action, then this is where you will be. End results you give the current status of each component of the project as required level of hierarchy, which means that if you want to talk about a reservoir, if you want to talk about the field, if you want to talk about a particular set of wells. All of that can be managed. Outlook on the next 24 months. Now, this is arbitrary. This is basically because we think that at least in 24 months, once we should have the health check. So this will give you the time scale. So in terms of what the action that needs to be taken, immediate action, which is short-term action, mid-term action, and long-term actions. So this is what the outlook on the next 24 months will give. What are the costs involved and what will be the approvals that is needed in order to make these actions, and the projected impact, which is already there here. Okay. So now we go to the critical factors of success for Waterflood Health Check to basically come up with results that will mean anything. The asset team has the actual information, and they are the backbone of this whole exercise. So when the health check team is assessing information from asset team, if they are able to communicate well and if the information is passed on correctly, then the results are expected to be much better. First-hand information. So this is directly from the source. There is no, we do not want that somebody should tell somebody has to tell what to tell the Waterflood Health Check team. The dialogue is a dialogue mode with common vision. So like I said, these are doctors. We want to make the project healthy, and the asset team has the same vision. So success of the project being the objective. So it's a dialogue base with a common vision. The objective is to improve from the starting point and not blame the past. And therefore is able to anticipate and therefore prepare for the event that may disrupt. As a normal health check would. Okay, so this brings me to end of my presentation. There is a potential business opportunity if we want to go forward. So mainly because it has got a very simplicity of the process, low manpower, quick turnaround. So we are talking about 3 weeks. Waterflood assets. So I have just taken a Malaysian problem. So you have 25 producing assets, mostly mature. And there is a Swift platform, which has all the data along with them. So Swift team assisted by the Waterflood management team or the asset team can very easily and very fast get to the readiness of interacting with the health check experts. So health check, 2 years of work, potential to spill over in studies and surveillance. So basically, once the health check happens, the recommendations can tell you what actions to be taken. So here I would like to acknowledge SPE KL and Nikhil, colleagues and mentors whom I was associated with while I was in KL and Petronas and elsewhere, and all of you who took time out to be here today and to listen to the topic. Thank you so much. This is my company, and we do consulting, collaborating, and coaching. And our motto is committed to seeking solutions and closing the gap between potential and actual performance.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
This is my contacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipin, sir. It was a very nice talk. Subject is absolutely interesting. So I think people are typing, so we can expect a few questions. So just waiting for it. And in the meantime, let me start off with a question. So this methodology, which you have suggested, is it something that has been tried before globally? And if it has been tried, how have been the results?
Okay, so the place where I see it has been tried in a much more effective manner is Shell. So what Shell used to do was that they had a health check team of about 4 to 6 people who used to travel worldwide. Their only aim was to look at waterflood projects located in different parts of the where the company is. They use the same methodology, and I have worked with those people while I was working with PDO, and we have improved from that concept in some different ways. But essentially, the basic core is from there. It was very effective, and I think um, in a way, it was easy for them to assess that, okay, why a project in Oman is doing better than the project in, let's say, for example, elsewhere.
Okay. Okay. So we have a question from Afandi. The question is, what approach does PAC in Malaysia take to maintain the performance of the water injection well? Does the same well intervention and production enhancement stimulation strategy apply to this?
See, um, the intervention strategy is a result of when the health check, or let's say the diagnosis that this well is not doing properly, that is when you start intervention. But then well intervention is only one part. What about things which are going wrong at surface? What about things which are going wrong at other ends? So essentially, the thing is, when we talk about well intervention is that piecemeal way of looking at things. Well intervention does not tackle the project level thing. It looks at the well. So what happens is that in a way, when we talk about Malaysia, so we have several agencies. You have the well engineering department, which will be looking at the well, we have WRFM, which is looking at XYZ. We have MPM, which is also looking at something. And then we have operations, which is also looking at some aspect of it. But most of the time, all these different departments, they don't come together to assess the health of the project. They are looking at their own smaller areas. This is the synergy that is lacking.
So I believe, yeah, that is very much the truth. Then we have a question from Fadzil. What is the main criteria to assess the project's sweep efficiency? Like what method and how do we do it?
There are several methods when you talk about sweep efficiency, and many of them are theoretical. But the most practical method is using the production data. And William Cobb has described a very nice way of using the production data to calculate the sweep efficiency. If you want, I can send the paper to you.
Oh, that will be great. That will be great. Thank you. Thank you. So one more question is, what should be the frequency of the health check?
Well, as I said, I mean, 2 years would be great.
2 years. Okay.
Okay. Basically, because you see, what happens is that normally when you go, you do a health check, you give some recommendations, then the team will make proposals, they will take approvals. By the time the action is taken, it is already 3+ months. So and then after 3 months, by the time the impact of those actions is visible, it's another 3+ months.
Right.
So if everything goes according to the plan, then also 1 year would be too close.
Right.
So we give 2 years. But one thing which is very good, like I mentioned in my digital sliders, that if the entire data stream is already digital, then a lot of it can be automated, which means that health check with a simple program can be conducted at any point of time.
Right, right. So There was a question, yes, during yesterday's discussion by our SPE chairperson, Anwar. So water injection excellence, how much value have we extracted from such projects? What's left and what's more to come?
Okay, if you are not aware, or I'm sure you must be, SWIFT team, when it was formed, at that time, the estimate was that there is 1 billion barrels attached to if water flood could be put into all the fields in Malaysia.
Mm.
So we are talking about the 40% recovery factors across the boards on an average. Okay. The fact is that now that we have seen that EOR is not such a great option all the time, water flood certainly is. So if we are talking about getting higher recoveries from field, then water flood is the option to go. When we talk about water flood excellence, you see, apart from Tapis, where we are currently doing WAG, almost all the other fields, we are still in the water flood phase. And in only, I think, two or three of them, we have reached somewhere around 30%. So we still have a long way to go.
Right. So, so is there something like a ideal water flood digital dashboard, or it will always keep evolving based on a particular operator?
I think dashboards are depending upon what you want to see. So it's a visual. So basically all the data is there in most of all the projects. It is depending upon what is the bent of mind of the person who wants to see. So
right. And I think we have exceeded the time, but I think this is a very good question from Nabila. So she says there are a lot of machine learning and analytics based tools lately. Can you comment on the implementation of these tools to automated water flood monitoring, surveillance, automated health checks, leading towards automated predictive solutions? Are they, and if there are any already operational, are they really working in your experience?
well, I am not aware if any one of them is working, but I can tell you for one thing that right from the time, I think almost 10 plus years back, when I was working in PDO, and even during the time when we were working in Petronas, you see, there are oil fields software known as OFM, which is a repository of all the fields, and we have already instituted the diagnostic curves which are automated.
Right.
So most of the surveillance can be done automatically, and it is only a matter of time before which all this machine learning and AI can be incorporated into these and come up with the automated surveillance system. The issue is not so much in terms of automating the things. It is mostly in terms of diagnosing the things. So essentially, once the curves are made, then right now in subsurface, it is not very standardized that a particular curve will only tell a particular shape of the curve will definitely have one thing associated with it. So those inferences, that part has still not been done. And I'm sure that Nikhil, you are here, and all the other people, even in geology and seismic, and you see, there are so many automated tasks in there. For example, now finding up sequence and coarsening down sequences and all that. Now this is something we know about log analysis right from the day we started in oil industry. But even now, you do not have automated well logging interpretation.
Right.
Why? Because the signatures are just not standardized.
Mm-hmm.
So most probably it will take time. But I think all the elements of getting them to automate are there.
Right. Right. Thank you so much. So I guess if there are more questions, you can write to Mr. Vipin. There is his email ID, or you can write to SPE. We'll pass it on and get back to you. So let me just share my screen. So we are done with Q&A, and so for the feedback, please write to this email ID, and you can go and search for spekualalumpur.org to learn more about SPEKL. A lot of activities going on. And thank you very much for attending this. Thank you, Vipin sir, for your presentation. And the recording will be made available on the SPEKL YouTube channel very soon. We request you to complete the survey form. This will be emailed to you along with a certificate of attendance. Please do contribute to that. And the next talk, which is talk 7, is going to be another interesting talk. It's going to be presented by Sharil Mokhtar, who's the general manager, well completions in Petronas. And that's scheduled to be on Wednesday, 27th of July, same time. We try to do it on Wednesday at the same time. And the topic is Wells DDA. So it's not drawdown analysis, but it is digital and data analytics, and 6 years down the road. So another interesting topic is going to come up. And then we go for a group photo now. So Dr. Yati's team is going to assist us.
You please turn on your camera. I think you can stop sharing. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
All right then. So thank you very much once again, all of you, and see you during the next talk. Vipin sir, thank you so much. If possible, whatever is shareable, if you could share the PDF of the slides, it will be just a record for record's sake in our database. But if it's not shareable, then that's fine. I mean, we have this on YouTube, so as a video, people can refer to it. But if there's a document possible, that also will be most welcome.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Bye for now.